Firstly, I'm going to start by getting on my soapbox about how KPIs in the corporate world most of the time measure the wrong things. Then I'll talk about how that then transpires into people moving from jobs into their own businesses. So if I give you an example, I worked in the NHS on regional projects. NHS England passes down the funding for these projects. So they have particular KPIs that you need to hit to deliver what you're supposed to deliver outcomes-wise for the funding, which makes sense. The problem that you have is there's always a disconnect between what KPIs you're handed down that you have to hit and what actually matters and moves the needle with the people who do the work that actually makes it happen. And when they don't connect, it means that you either have to do things twice or you have to do things in a way that you know is impactful, but then talk about it in a way that you know isn't impactful, but someone else needs to hear it. Now, because people are so used to working in those parameters in their corporate lives, they feel like that's normal to be doing in their own business and completely forget that there's freedom from all of your corporate stuff, but there's actually freedom to decide your own complete way to do it. You have different types of KPIs. So say you've got investors. Investors are going to have things that they want to measure to make sure that the money that they're giving you is bringing them a return on their investment. I understand that. However, that's stuff that you need to show, but the stuff that actually keeps you waking up and feeling excited for the day ahead of you is the stuff that you feel. So, for example, with me, I know that I have done a good job when I am doing a workshop with someone and I see their face change. So when you have that aha moment or someone cries, I know that's an awful thing to have a KPI about, but if someone has some kind of transition, I know that I've done my job well. And they're the things that you can actually measure for yourself if you're just a bit creative in how you collect that data for yourself. What I have discovered from all of the research and from various things that we do is that it needs to start from your values. So what is it that you actually value in life and what you find valuable to you as a person living your work-life mix? And if you start with that, that's your why. And then you can work outwards from that, thinking, okay, so that's why I want to do things and why I have my business. And then you can start thinking about the how that looks. And then you start thinking about what tasks you do. It's an A3 sheet of paper with a whole load of circles on it. And it basically goes why I get up in the morning and do my business. And then each circle out is another layer of, okay, what does that need then? What does that look like? What do I now do each day to help me with my decisions? With the NHS projects, what you would find is these benefits that NHS England would be providing as what needs to be improved is outcomes driven. So it's all the stuff at the end which you can't actually change. You have absolutely no control over outcomes. All you have control over is parts of the process where things actually change, where you actually have control to be able to tinker with something or to be able to get someone to do something in a different way to make something change. If you could measure your KPIs not by outcomes like, most of the models do, but actually by those parts of the process where there's like behaviour change or change in the way that something is done, that is where all of your power lies in being able to get better outcomes. We were up for an award at Great British Entrepreneurs. Now, I have made no secret about the fact that I've struggled over the last few years learning how to do marketing. What I realise now has happened is that I got so good and was taught for so long and so well to be able to write very balanced, very long, very detailed analysis of options in project management, that's completely the opposite of what's required for marketing. And so I had to completely unlearn all of the way I wrote and relearn how to do it for this. And a KPI which I have ticked off for myself when we went to the awards was the fact that I had written a piece of marketing that actually was picked up by people who didn't know us and thought that needed to be put in front of other people. And what a KPI that is. Just shows all of the hard work I've put in is paying off.